Yo, what's good everybody? I'm your boy Jadiro, and today I'll be dropping a Season 3/Season 4 Druid build. I hope you enjoy. So now this build is more of a proof of concept. This is a build I was messing around with on the PTR, and I'm going to do it here for Season 3, so if you want to give it a try yourself. But I really think this build's going to be something huge in Season 4. So first things first, let's go over the aspects here. First, we're going to go to the aspect of the Earth Sign Horror. We're going to put this on our ring, and this makes our Pulverize an Earth skill. Next, we're going to go over the Shockwave aspect, and this makes Pulverize have a Shockwave effect that does 80% more damage after the Shockwave emits, so it kind of shoots it out in a cone formation. And now the second part of this build is the Subterranean aspect. This gives Poison Creeper the ability to cast Landslide, and it also increases the damage we deal with Earth skills to poison enemies. And finally, for the fundamental aspect, we're going to the aspect of the Aftershock, and we're putting this on our ring. What this does is it allows Landslide to proc twice. It's pretty sweet. So we use this in tandem with the Subterranean aspect to give us more Landslide procs. Now for some spicy aspects here, guys. We're going to do the aspect of Retaliation, and this increases the damage we deal with our core ability, which is Pulverize, based on how much Fortify we have. And then for some shenanigans, we're also going to give Trample a Landslide proc. This is the aspect of the Trampled Earth, and we're going to put this on our main hand weapon. And for the last part of this build, guys, we're going Insatiable Fury. This is a unique chest armor piece for the Druid, and this allows us to stay in Werebear form the whole time. And it also increases every Werebear skill by 3 ranks, which is huge. Alright guys, well that does it for all the aspects. Let's go on to how we distribute the primary and secondary skills next. Alright, so as for our basic ability, we're going Storm Strike, and we're only putting 1 point into Enhanced Storm Strike. This is simply because we have to. Next, we're going to move down to Pulverize, guys. Put a full 5 points into Pulverize, and then we're going to go the modifier that it reduces the damage enemies deal to us by 20%. Also, you can see here that I went Landslide, guys, so this is where the whole kind of build comes together with Landslide. All we really want is Primal Landslide. This increases the damage for every Landslide that procs. It's huge. Moving down to our defensive skills, we're going Earth and Bulwark, and then we're going the modifier that grants us Fortify as maximum life. Next, moving down to our companion skills, we're going Poison Creeper, and we're going the modifier that increases our critical strike chance to enemies entangled by Poison Creeper. Alright guys, moving down to the RAS skills, we're going Trample. I simply went Trample just for the Unstoppable proc, and that's usually the case with Trample, but I also wanted to make it more useful, and that's why I put the Trample aspect that gives it Landslide on our build as well. So with that in mind, I also gave it Enhanced Trample, which increases the damage it deals. Now moving down to the ultimate skills, we're putting 1 single point here in Petrify, and this is simply just to give us a little bit of uptime when we're taking too much damage, and it also stuns all the enemies, which increases our damage to those enemies. And guys, finally for our key passive, we're going the key passive of Earth Sign Strength. And the key passive of Earth Sign Strength increases our additional maximum life by 20%. And while we're healthy, we deal 30% increased damage, and we also deal 30% increased overpower damage as well. Huge. Alright guys, so that's the primary skills. Let's move on to the secondary skills next. So as for our secondary skills, we're going Heart of the Wild. This increases our maximum spirit, but what we really want here is Wild Impulses. So Wild Impulses increases the spirit cost of our core ability, but it also increases the damage of our core ability. Then we're putting a full 3 in Predatory Instinct to increase our critical strike chance to close enemies. And then we're putting a full 3 into Iron Fur to reduce the damage we take by 9% while in bear form. Then we're going to jump all the way down to our Wrath skills again, and we're going Crushing Earth. So this increases the damage we deal with Earth skills while enemies are stunned, immobilized, or knocked back. And we will be immobilizing enemies with Poison Creeper. And then we're going to put a full 3 into Stone Guard, so while we're fortified over 50% of our health, our Earth skills deal 12% increased damage. Then to move over here, we're putting 1 into Mending, and this is to increase the healing we deal while in Werebear form, which is not too important, but what we really want here is Provocation. So what this does, it gives us an overpower proc to our non-defensive skills every 16 seconds. Then we move down to Neurotoxin. We're only putting 1 point here, and then we're going to put a full 3 into End Venom because this is what we really want. This increases the critical strike damage we deal to poison enemies. Huge. Now down to our ultimate skill category, we're dumping a full 3 into Defiance, a full 3 into Natural Disaster, a full 3 into Resonance, and a full 3 into Circle of Life. Defiance increases the damage we deal with nature magic skills, and we made Pulverize a nature magic skill. Natural Disaster increases earth damage to vulnerable enemies, and our Storm skills have increased damage against stunned, immobilized, and CC'd enemies. Then we put a full 3 into Resonance, so this gives us a flat damage increase of 6% to our nature damage skills, but the real reason we went this here is because it triples that amount if an Earth skill is cast after a Storm skill, or a Storm skill is cast after an Earth skill. That's the reason why we're going Storm Strike here, because after we Storm Strike, it's going to buff our Pulverize because we made Pulverize an Earth skill. And then Circle of Life gives us a little bit of life on hit, so to speak, so every time we use a nature magic skill, we get some life back. Alright guys, so that does it for all the primary and secondary skills. Let's move on to that Paragon Board next. Guys, one thing I want to mention here is I have the full build over on Mobalytics. So if you guys want to go see all the skills, or you want to go see all the spirit boons, or all the aspects, or how I gemmed out, or even the Seneschal for that matter, it's all there for you. Then I also have the skill tree, and you can also toggle it to check the leveling path I went. And then we also have the Paragon board, so you guys can go over there, copy paste. It's all good. I hope you enjoy. So again, go check that out on Mobalytics. As soon as I post this video, it should be live on Mobalytics as well. So guys, as for our first board here, we're going Earth and Sky. This increases nature magic damage we deal to vulnerable enemies. Then for our second board, we're going the Heightened Malice board, which increases the damage we deal when there's 3 or more poison enemies around us by 45%. And the glyph socket we're going here is Territorial, so we gain 10% damage reduction from close enemies. So moving on to our third board here, we're going the board of Ancestral Guidance. So after spending 75% of our spirit, we deal 30% increased damage for 5 seconds. And we're going no glyph on this board. So as for our fourth board here, we're going the board of Earth and Devastation. This massively increases our earth damage, and the glyph that we're going is the Exploit glyph. So this increases the damage that we deal to vulnerable enemies, and it also marks enemies for us and makes them vulnerable. Onto our fifth board here, we're going the board of Constricting Tendrils. But we are going the Spirit board here, which makes our critical strikes increase the damage we deal to our enemies. And as for the last board, guys, we're going the Thunderstruck board, and we're simply going the rare glyph of Dominate. And Dominate is whenever we do overpowered damage to an enemy, they take increased damage from us by 12% for 5 seconds. Dope. Alright guys, so that does it for the Paragon board. If you guys want to go check that out at Mobalytics again, go ahead, copy paste it there. But let's move on to the Spirit boons next. Alright guys, as for the Spirit boons, we're going Weariness, which reduces the damage we take from elite enemies. Then we're going Iron Feather, which increases our maximum life. And then we're going Avian Wrath, which increases our critical strike damage. Then we're going Pack Leader, so our critical strikes reduce the cooldowns of our companion skills like Poison Creeper. And finally, we're going Obsidian Slam, so that every 20th kill will cause our next Earth skill to overpower. So that could be Landslide from our Poison Creeper, or that can be Pulverize. Pretty sweet. Alright guys, so that does it for Spirit boons. Let's move on to the Seneschal next. Alright guys, pretty much run-of-the-mill stuff. You can find this anywhere. I bet you any build you ever see will go this. It's pretty much Flash of Adrenaline and Tempest as our main governing stones. Flash of Adrenaline increases our damage, and Tempest does damage. And to support Flash of Adrenaline, we're going Tactical Support, which reduces the cooldown of Flash of Adrenaline. Then we're going Safeguard Support to reduce the damage we take. It gives us damage reduction. And then we're going Duration Support to increase the duration of Flash of Adrenaline. As for Tempest, we're going Swift Support, so it increases the attack speed of Tempest, so it's proccing more often. Then we're going Arcing Support, guys. You could switch this one in or out for whatever you want. I just like this one. So basically it hits multiple enemies. And then we're going Resource Support to help us with our Spirit Regeneration. Alright guys, that does it for the Seneschal. Again, you guys can go to Mobalytics if you want to go check it out there. But let's move on to those gems next. Alright guys, as for the gems, pretty short and sweet here. We're going rubies in everything except for our jewelry. Rubies in the armor increases your maximum life. And then rubies in your weapons increases the overpower damage you deal. Guys, simply for the jewelry, for the gems, just go the resistance you need the most. As you can see, I needed help here with lightning and cold resistance. So I put a sapphire in my necklace and I put 2 yellows in my rings. So just so you guys know, fire resistance you can get from rubies, you can get lightning resistance from topaz, you can get cold resistance from sapphire, you can get poison resistance from emeralds, and then you can get shadow resistance from amethyst. Alright guys, that does it for the gems. Let's do a tier 70 vault run next. Alright guys, I'm just doing a level 70 run to showcase the build a little bit, but I completely played this build on the PTR and I absolutely loved it. I just can't wait for Season 4 to come out. It's actually really hard to come back and play Season 3 right now because it's nothing like what Season 4 has to offer. However, the reason I'm running Tier 70 right now is simply because you can get 925 items from Tier 70 vault runs. So I feel like this is a cool way to showcase the build and talk about the rotation and kind of talk about my experiences playing on the PTR. Without further ado, let's get into this vault run. Wish me luck. Alright guys, here we are in the vault run. Let's walk up to the Zoltan's Warding. Let's get a good cool 4 stack. So the reason I made this build was just to have like a proof of concept. Now there is a landslide build with companions and then there's a pulverized build. So I kind of fused 2 of my favorite builds from Druid into one. That's kind of what I wanted to do here. And this is kind of like the concept I was using and what I was playing on the PTR with Druid. And it was really powerful because of what the Codex has to offer with tempering and masterworking. So it's viable in Season 3 too, which is pretty cool, but it's definitely not as strong, but it's definitely a cool concept that I want to see actually go live come Season 4. So that's basically why I made this build. I can't wait for Season 4, man. I had so much fun on the PTR. I got to play all the classes, thank God, but I only got to showcase about 3 of them, I believe. Or was it 4? I can't remember now. But I played all of them, and it was a lot of fun. I think the only one I didn't get to show you guys was the Druid, so this is kind of like retribution for that. But anyways, let's go through the build here. So basically how the build works is you got your Trample up. You can use your Trample to get out of combat as an unstoppable proc, but what you're really playing around is the Poison Creeper into the Pulverize. So once you do Poison Creeper like this, you want to just kind of kite away with your Pulverize, which works pretty sweet. You're doing increased damage to immobilized enemies, so that Poison Creeper really comes in handy. And then when you critically strike with anything, it has a potential to reset your your Poison Creeper, right? So you could also spam Poison Creeper in the right situations. And then we have our Earthen Bulwark for a little bit of defensive capabilities. And we also have Petrify once in a while, you know, just to stun the enemies if it gets too hot, or you just want to do extra damage, or let's say you're out of potions or low on potions and you're in a tight spot. It's a good way to get out. But yeah, that's pretty much what you do. And then you auto attack. What you want to do too is you want to auto attack with your Storm Strike to get those nature damage procs, those triple the nature damage procs. Not from Circle of Life. I think it's Resonance. You get the triple damage proc. So if I use Storm Strike into Pulverize, I get the proc, and then if I use Storm Strike into Poison Creeper, if the Landslide procs, I get the proc as well. So yeah, really enjoying this. Druid is my favorite class, so I always go back to playing it. I feel like it's one of the harder ones to understand, but that could just be me. I have a ton of fun just playing Barb and Rogue as well. They're like two of my favorite classes, but long story short, I'm enjoying this build. I can't wait to see this build fully fleshed out in Season 4. Again, the only reason I made this was for a proof of concept that you can kind of Frankenstein two builds together, like Pulverize and Poison Creeper. So I think we're almost here at the last room. No, we got, oh, it's the fire one. Yeah, we got a few more rooms to go. Ooh, nice, an Seneschal. So also too, why this build came to life was because what I've been doing is I don't know how it's going to work, but if you guys have seen the new codex, so basically we have like a glossary of aspects. So instead of having to like find the item and keep farming for aspects, we now have a codex glossary. So once we get the aspect once, we have it forever. So what I was doing was I was going on every class and farming all the armor that had all the core abilities or like the aspects that I'd want, and I'm keeping it in my my stash, so that when Season 4 comes out, I can just unsummon that stuff, and then I'll have a full glossary in my codex, or a full codex of all those aspects. Okay, here we are in the final room. Let's see if we can really put this work. I kind of found myself holding down shift and just kind of using Pulverize, which is pretty fun, just so you don't lose the stacks. But I really like this build. You really want to get, it's like a tankier build, right? So you really want to get in close combat. You know, I'm not really worried about the stacks here. I've already got all the Druid aspects I could want, and then I'm going to start working my Barbarian. I'm going to start working on my Rogue as well to collect all those aspects. And then after I get those aspects, I'll start working on the Sork and Necromancer as well. But for now, I'm just going to do what I know best. There we go. Dungeon complete. We cleared it. Easy peasy. I know it's only level 70, but this was just to give you guys a showcase. But this is kind of like, if you guys ever want to tune into my live streams when I play Diablo, this is kind of what they're like. I just kind of speak candidly and go through the match. But here we go. Let's see that loot shower. Boom. Sweet. Alright guys, that was super dope. I love this Snare Bear concept idea. Let's go over a brief build summary next. Guys, so if you want to go over the aspects again, I'll chapter this video and you guys can go check that out there. Alright guys, as for the skills, we're going Storm Strike as our basic ability. Then we're going Pulverize as our core ability. We're also putting points into Landslide to give us the procs on Poison Creeper and Trample. Then we're going Earthen Bulwark. Then of course we're going Poison Creeper. Then we're going Trample to give us an unstoppable proc. And then we're going Petrify as our ultimate. If you guys want to see the secondary skills, I'll chapter that for you as well. You guys can go see that there. As for the Spirit Boons, guys, we're going Wariness. Then we're going Iron Feather and Avian Wrath with Pack Leader and Obsidian Slam. Again, as for gems, guys, we're going all rubies here, weapons and armor. And for the jewelry, just go the resistance you need the most. As for the Seneschal, guys, again, we're going Flash of Adrenaline and Tempest. If you want a deeper explanation on that, I'll also chapter that part for you in this video. Alright guys, as for the Paragon Board, I'll also chapter that for you in this video. And if you want to go check it out on Mobalytics, be my guest. I'll put a link in this video to Mobalytics. Alright guys, well that does it for the Snare Bear build. I hope you enjoyed, and don't worry about liking and subscribing, guys. If you simply enjoyed the video and you just watched the video and it brought you any kind of value, that's all I could ask for. Thank you guys so much. Again guys, I can't wait for Season 4 to come out so we can fully flesh out these builds. In comparison to Season 3, there is no comparison, man. Season 4 is absolutely amazing. Well that does it for me, guys. I'm your boy Jadiro, signing out for now. Peace.